Hey everybody, it's Millie from Red Mills Crochet, and welcome to the first ever episode of True Crime, Chillers, and Crochet. So I'm going to be talking about true crime and paranormal cases in the world that really intrigue me while I crochet in the hopes that it won't give me nightmares at night. Today I'm going to be working on Callie the Ghost Kitty. It's a new pattern that literally just came out today while I'm recording by SphynxCrochet. I will link it down below. I also couldn't hop on here and not rev Mama Made Middies. And then I also wanted to just plug one of my besties. She made these earrings and I thought they were very fitting for today. So, yippee! Anyway, guys, if you want to crochet along, go find that pattern, grab some white yarn. I'm using Alize Softy Plus and a 4mm. Let me look. Yeah, a 4mm hook. And let's get into it. Alright, so before we get into it, I'm just gonna put it out there. I live in an apartment complex, so you might hear dogs barking. I know my downstairs neighbor's dog is currently barking. Super fun. And we also live near train tracks, so you might hear that go through. Just do your best to ignore it, because there's really nothing I can do. Anyway, jumping into today's topic, Rolling Hills Asylum. So, nestled in the hills of western New York is a little town called Bethany. Today its population sits at about 1750, and back in the 1800s it was at 1730, so you could say not much has really changed populace-wise. Commonly referred to as one of the most haunted locations in the US, and sometimes even the world, Rolling Hills Asylum is home to a bunch of eerie structures and about 1,700 undocumented deaths. Undocumented. So that's not including, like, the ones that were obviously not documented and even, files that may have been lost. The numbers, they do believe, are about 3 times that, which is absolutely insane. That's also, if you think about it, 1,700. We were just talking about the population. 1,700. That's nearly as many people that live there today. That's so crazy how much death has occurred at this place. Over the years, Rolling Hills Asylum has become known as a place of suffering and mystery, and also a place where about 300 residents live. 300 Spectral residents, according to the owner, Sharon. The owner, visitors, and ghost hunters alike, I can't even cut this, report happenings such as shadowy figures, disembodied voices, and the feeling of being watched. But before I get into some of the spooky happenings of this place, I did want to cover some of the history behind the Rolling Hills Asylum. Much of the information I've found for the history actually comes directly from the Rolling Hills Asylum website and also from the Genesee County History Department. You can find both of those websites linked below if you're interested in learning more after this. Hopefully I did cover enough though. Built on over 200 acres of farmland, the Genesee County officially announced the Genesee County Poorhouse in December of 1926, with its doors officially opening on January 1st of 1927. So, according to the website, a poorhouse is an institution where, and I'm going to read this out loud so I don't miss anything, it's an institution that often housed orphan children, destitute families, elderly folks, the physically handicapped, mentally unstable, and even criminals. Also, when you think about it, this did include women who were down on their luck, women who had kids and had lost their husbands. They weren't allowed to own land, so they were sent to this place. They didn't do anything, they just couldn't own land. They had nowhere else to go but this place, with their kids, to live with criminals. So again, a poorhouse was a government-run facility meant for supporting those in need. This was one of those systems that was sort of a precursor to the modern-day social security system. I can't seem to crochet today. It's the crocheting and the talking that's killing me. But oftentimes, the poorhouse, which was meant to be a place for those in need, wound up being a place where they got stuck, and oftentimes tortured by the staff, far from the comforts of home. In 1828, the Genesee County constructed a separate building there to confine those considered quote-unquote lunatics and anybody there for misconduct of the law. Individuals considered to be suffering from acute insanity were also housed at the poorhouse until 1887, when the Board of Supervisors agreed to send them elsewhere. Now, I did look into this because I wanted to know where elsewhere was. Pretty much every source I found just said elsewhere, so wherever elsewhere was, I hope it was better than this place. Residents of the poorhouse, also known as the Genesee County Poor Farm, were all called inmates. It did not matter why they were there, they were called inmates. So, mothers with kids that were just down on their luck, people that just were abandoned there by their families, like children that had deformities, and just people that had mental health issues, not even criminals. They were called inmates at this place. They would work on a farm that was quote-unquote self-sufficient to offset the cost of living there, which was about $1.08 a week. Looking more into this, I did find out that that's about 300-ish, in the $300 park range in modern day US dollars. So some of the jobs that the residents had to do included farming fruits and vegetables, raising livestock such as pigs, horses, and chickens. I'm sure there were others because it's upstate New York and we love goats here. They were canning consumables, they were working in a bakery that was on site, and they even worked in a wood shop where they built coffins to sell to local mortuaries, which is heebie-jeebies. This whole thing gives me the heebie-jeebies. Just researching this made me not want to be home alone. So getting a little darker here, the county would actually bury individuals with no families there on the property in an unmarked cemetery, according to a document found in 1886. So that's cute. So whatever remained of that cemetery faded away into history. The headstones started to crumble, vegetation grew back. The residents that lived there actually were replanting the forestry that was there. And the actual cemetery plot or register has yet to be discovered to this day, abandoning those that died on the property in the afterlife. For a brief stint in 1964, the asylum then became the Genesee County Nursing Home. Of all things, let's throw some old people into this old asylum. What harm could that be? But its doors only stayed open for another 10 years after that, closing in 1974 due to coding violations. I think there were violations such as lack of water and wheelchair ramps, things that you need in a nursing home to take care of the residents that live there. At that time, due to fear of vagrants breaking into the property and people squatting there, they actually tore down most of the outbuildings on the property. So in 2004, a memorial site was established by the Genesee County, returning 5 headstones to the county, marked 1887 to 1888. And the Genesee County historians dedicated a historical marker to those living there from 1827 until the day it closed its doors in 1874. And when the doors were finally closed on this eerie building, the residents were sent to another facility in Batavia. That's how it looks. Batavia, New York. I'm from New York. I should know how this is pronounced. So, anyway, let's get to why you're actually here. The Rolling Hills and her residents. So, now that I've covered some of the history of this place, I do want to get to some of the residents that lived there and are also said to still stalk the halls of the Rolling Hills Asylum. So, the first spectral resident that I would love to cover is also known as a gentle giant to the owner and those that visit him. This is actually probably one of the more tragic stories of this place that really tugs at my heartstrings. Roy Krause was brought to the asylum at the age of 12. Abandoned by his parents, one of whom was a prominent banker in Syracuse, New York, who considered his son's deformity to be an embarrassment to their family. Standing at over 7 feet tall, it was very evident that Roy had gigantism. To kind of help you picture just how big Roy was, a more famous person you might be familiar with is Andre the Giant, who was a famous wrestler and also did some acting You might be familiar with him in The Princess Bride. I know he was one of my favorite characters. But basically, it's a rare condition that causes the pituitary gland to produce too much growth hormone. Now, it's a very hard disease to detect at first because most parents will push it off as just normal growth spurts. But in modern day, if it's detected early enough, it can be treated, slowed down, and even stopped. But obviously, Roy did not have that kind of medical care back in the day, back in the 1800s. It did seem like Roy made the most of his time at the asylum, though. It's reported that he was a very well-read man. He had his own collection of books there that you can still see to this day in his room. He loved operatic music, and he was considered to be a very kind and caring man until the day he died at the age of 62, and I want to say 1942 was when he passed away. Now visitors claim to see Roy's large shadowy figure, occasionally catching it on film when they play his favorite music. One odd but really endearing story about Roy comes directly from the owner, Sharon. Shortly after she purchased the property, she was in the infirmary and she saw a rat. Shocked, she screamed at the terror of it. I mean, I would too. Anyway, the next day she showed up and at the bottom of the stairs laid the dead, bloody corpse of this rat. The rat looked like it had been beaten to death, like its neck was broken or something, and above it on the wall was a bloody handprint. A giant bloody handprint. I actually watched that episode of BuzzFeed Unsolved. The investigators have an image of it, the handprint. I'll try to put a screenshot of it up here if I can. Anyway, Sharon states that she believes Roy witnessed her terror and wanted to make her feel comfortable, so he killed the rat for her. Green flag? Now, not all of the residents that live at Rolling Hills Asylum are of the kindest nature. Others built a reputation for terrorizing those who live there and even those who go to visit today. Nurse Emmy Outworth was feared and hated by not only the residents that she was there to take care of, but by the other staff members that worked alongside her. In fact, she was even well known for being cruel and abusive towards her patients. She even was rumored to be involved in the dark arts and to have performed satanic rituals. It's giving Harry Potter. Anyway, Nurse Emmy's room is one of those rooms where specifically men will get the feeling of being touched or even pushed. There are reports today that Nurse Emmy actually still stalks the halls of Rolling Hills Asylum, terrorizing those who visit with her blood-curdling cackles, screams, and even banging on the doors of the infirmary. Ugh. Speaking of screams, there is one other resident there that is thought to be the owner of these disembodied shrieks on the property. Another former resident thought to be stalking the halls of this place is Hattie, an elderly blind woman said to still be roaming the halls of the facility. Hattie's room is one where people will walk by and report that they've heard somebody yelling, "Hello? Hello? Hello?" Can you imagine walking past a room and you just hear, "Hello?" It said she used to yell this every day and every night just to get the attention of the staff. The owner of the property actually said that she played a recording of an EVP for a former employee, and she was so shocked to hear the haunting voice of Hattie again. Hello? Now, Nurse Emmy, Roy, Hattie, they're not the only disembodied voices or shadows that you're going to hear on the property. During the tour, you can actually go and stand in, I kid you not, it's actually called this, shadow hallway. And it's on the second floor in the men's dormitory. So this hallway is known for its disembodied voices and shadowy figures walking across the hall, peeking out from behind corners, and popping from door to door, and even crawling on the floor towards you. It's like giving the ring, I'm not gonna lie. So this specific hallway is home to disembodied voices and shadows that bob from door to door, peek out from corners, and have even been reported to crawl towards visitors. I don't even know what I would do. Obviously I would run away in terror, but crawling towards you, it's like your worst fear as a child, the ring coming to life, having something crawling towards you on the floor. No. But could you imagine, you see something crawling on the floor towards you and you just hear, hello? Howdy? Honestly, while I was doing that, I was remembering this episode of Ghost Adventures, and take this show with a grain of salt. Mr. Zacko Baggins, you put on a great production. The entertainment value, I love it. I love watching your show, but everything on this show, I just feel like it's exaggerated. It's dramatized. So I take their little anecdotes and experiences with a grain of salt, or maybe a circle of salt for those who like puns. But I do remember on this one episode for Rolling Hills Asylum, it's the guy with the goatee, his name's Nick, I want to say. He was in the organ room of this place, and he had candles all around or whatever, and I just remember this like loud like scream. I'm gonna see if I can try to find like an insert of it somewhere and just play it so you guys can experience the horror that I experienced as well. But you know, that was like a headphones off, in the trash, throw the trash away, burn the dumpster, and move away moment for me. Because I need like a happy little palate cleanser after all of this, honestly. So let's jump back into our spectral residence of the Rolling Hills here. I'm also gonna start sewing this together. There is another spirit here that roams the shadow hallway called Jack, or Big Jack Off. Red flag. But it's said that he does roam in this shadow hallway, and he likes to reside in the solarium room at the end of the shadow hallway. So basically what she said is this room, it's like they have a blue light in there, so it's lit blue at night, and you can see him pacing back and forth because the doors have windows, and you can see him pacing back and forth, and there's people that have caught like footage of this, of him pacing back and forth. The owner also said that he will bang on the door, you'll hear the door swing open, and that is like him like walking out to go have some fun in the shadow hallway. Ooh. I am also sorry if you're like hearing this, me sewing this, because my microphone is literally right here. Oh no, I think I just dropped my yarn needle. It's okay, I've got like 80 more here. I lose my yarn needles way too much. Anyway, you guys should make a drinking game out of every time I say anyway. So now we're going to move on to some of the places here. Now that we've brought up the shadow hallway enough, I think we should move on to the morgue. So the morgue is another hotspot for spectral activity. Here guests can experience disembodied voices, poltergeist activity, and even a little hands-on action. That's right, if you go down to the morgue, you too can experience a ghost touching you. It kind of seems like speaking with the dead is a bit of a contact sport here. Not really a fan. I don't think I'd watch that game. Maybe I would, I don't know. Sometimes you can't stop watching out of fear. So, another fun and creepy tidbit about the morgue is that in the 1940s, during the tuberculosis epidemic, bodies were just piling up, okay? And it is rumored, this is really sad actually, it is rumored that they would take nearly dead people, like think nearly headless Nick, like Harry Potter, think nearly headless Nick, nearly dead. They're not quite there yet. And they put them in the freezers to get them there a little faster. That's just so upsetting. So moving on, a couple of the other spirits that reside here in the morgue, according to the owner, are, let's see, Scarzy, who speaks Italian, and Doc, who she's not really sure if he's a physician or a mortician. I would probably bet he's a physician acting as a mortician, because this seems like a place where they don't really care about who does what role, you know what I mean? Like, the nurses are abusing the crap out of the patients, the inmates. There's also one lone suit just hanging in the morgue, where if you speak to them, you can try to get them to like move it. So a little bit of poltergeist activity. And the owner even claims that if you lay on one of the tables in the morgue and you ask for help, she said that if you have like a previous injury, basically, the ghost will figure that out. So like if I injured my shoulder in high school and I'm like, help, I'm hurt, ugh, the ghost will figure that out, and I would feel like a heat or a vibration sensation on my shoulder, and that's like them supposedly trying to help you. So moving to the downstairs where the basement is, this is considered the most sinister area of the property, containing the psych ward and solitary confinement. Iron brackets still protrude from the walls of a small room in the basement. This place is considered to be where they would confine unruly patients and even criminals. What's so disturbing, though, is that it wasn't just criminals. It was people with grossly misunderstood mental illnesses like Alzheimer's, Tourette's, Asperger's, even housewives who were considered hysteric were locked away to suffer in the darkness of this place. Today, most guests will complain of nausea upon entering the basement. A lot will complain about being pushed while in the cells. Here you're also hearing disembodied voices. It's just the whole buffet. Now we're going to wrap up our locations on property that you can visit with the Christmas room, which sounds a lot more fun than it actually is. And also, I don't get this. Like, they like to say that there are children down there. I would not want to go down there if there were spirits claiming to be children down there. I don't believe that spirits that claim to be children really are children. And I was watching another podcast recently, honestly, where it's like anybody 10 and below and anybody like 60 and above as a ghost, I probably wouldn't trust. Like, that's just the creep zone. You know what I mean? So the owner does state that they go into the Christmas room and they will read like Christmas stories to the kids. They'll often get interactions such as toys moving, and disembodied voices answering questions. So just lots of activity in this room. And another count of this that I remember hearing about was from the BuzzFeed Unsolved Mysteries episode where they went. The two guys brought like this toy dog that like looked like a French bulldog. It lights up when you touch it, or when a spirit touches it, right? And so they asked a couple of questions, didn't get anything, so they decided to move on with their investigation, but they left the dog in the room. Pretty much as soon as they left, it lights up like a Christmas tree. You see what I did there? So now I kind of want to move on to some stories that I've seen on the internet of this place, and this is just like a couple in a vast multitude of stories that I found. These were just a couple. And I'm going to read them from my computer screen, actually, so I don't mess them up verbatim kind of thing. You know what I mean? So this first story is from Reddit. It goes, "My fiance took me on a 6-hour unguided ghost hunt for my birthday at Rolling Hills Asylum. These photos were taken right when we began our investigation at 8:41 p.m. I was walking down the first floor hallway past the infamous ramps, which I didn't see anything about the ramps in my investigation. Out of the corner of my eye, I thought I saw someone peek their head out of a room. I checked the room, assuming it was probably just someone else exploring. I'm gonna try and put the photo somewhere up here that I found. I was alone. I stopped and snapped some photos. I reviewed the photos later in the night and realized I had caught a shadow in the doorway. These photos are photos that I took. They are originals and they are not edited at all. So I did look at the other photos that they took, but I'm just going to put the one, and you'll see like there is like a shadow figure hanging out of one of the doorways. I would probably crap my pants. This next story is directly from the website. Actually, both of these next stories are directly from the website. This first one goes, "We had just gone up the stairs by the office area and started looking in rooms for a digital recorder we had left when we caught this loud, 'Please stay in your room,' and then, 'It's nothing.' We didn't hear these things in person, but only when we listened to them on playback." So, the recorders just caught what they caught, and they didn't hear anything. I would hope that that's the case. Honestly, I think I would rather hear it later on and be like, oh, okay, instead of hearing it in time, like real time in person. I just feel like the fear factor there is so much higher. So this next story, again, from the website, it's posted by the Adirondack Ghost Hunter Society. It goes, my team members and I were in the shock therapy room, and we caught the organ in the upstairs playing 2 notes on our EVP recorder. It is one of the best EVPs I have ever caught. I didn't see a name, it just said Adirondack Ghost Hunter Society. So pretty cool that you guys caught that. So this next story is also from the website. It's on a separate page titled The Chris Fleming Experience. I guess he's a psychic medium that visited the property, and he drew a shadow figure, so I'll put that up here. And he also wrote out his experience. Basically, I tried to go through and fix a couple of the grammatical errors because I didn't want to read it and make it sound dumb, but it can be easy to have hiccups. 4 seconds before it swirled away like a bat. This took place to the left of one of the rooms off the hallway in the basement-long corridor. I will never forget this. As we were staring down the hallway, watching for shadow people, I suddenly turned to my left, as my gaze was drawn away from the darkness in the room alongside me. The moonlight was shining through the large window, and there was a solid male figure standing in front of the illuminated sill, staring right at us. For what seemed like 3 seconds, I stared at this dark, foreboding person, and before I could yell for the others beside me to turn, it seemed like it had imploded into a small black mist shadow about 1/8 of the size of its previous manifestation, and took off leftwards through the room and out the door. In all my years, I had never seen a shadow person dematerialize so quickly, yet take form like that in less than 2 seconds. I felt like he was saying in a very intimidating way, "Now you see me, now you don't." I don't believe in vampires, but the way it stood, the overcoat it was wearing, the pose, and the form it took, it just shifted so quickly, and it proved to me that a ghost or spirits with their conscious minds can change their appearance as quickly as a thought or action that we would make in our own physical realm. It is such an extremely rare case to get even a glimpse of them. The fact that it blocked out the window completely and had gone from a solid to a shadowy mist in seconds left me staring at the empty window, wondering, did I catch it before it left, or did it want me to get the sense that it has a greater sense of control in our realm? I may never know. Thanks for stumbling through that story with me. So those are just a couple of the stories about this place. You could go online, Google Rolling Hills Asylum, and there are hundreds of encounters. There's a reason why it's called the most haunted place in America, or second most haunted place. There also remains countless theories as to why the Rolling Hills Asylum is so haunted. My cat messed up the camera, so I had to go and fix it. Anyway, so the owner... My cat messed up the camera, so I had to go back and try to fix it, so sorry. He woke up and was like, "I want to come love you." It was nuzzling the camera. It was kind of cute until he messed up the shot. So anyway, the owner Sharon states that the spirits are not trapped here. They come and they go, they travel around, and she believes they have charges that they have to go look after, stating sometimes they're here, sometimes they're on vacation. Now, if any of this interests you and you're wanting to try and plan a little ghost hunting yourself, maybe hang out with Roy, get yelled at by Hattie or Nurse Emmy, hello, you can go do this. You can go right to their website and book a tour on their website. They have all sorts of tours, ghost hunts. They range from an hour to 6 hours. It can be in a group or it can be private. So you have a lot of options. They just ask that you come with a smile and an open-minded, positive attitude. So, in addition to the regular tours held there, the Rolling Hills Asylum also tries to hold other various events. Occasionally on Friday nights, they dare visitors to come visit and watch a horror movie from within the asylum. And on spooky holidays such as Halloween coming up, visitors can attend a special tour throughout the building for an unforgettable night. Also, the future of the Rolling Hills Asylum is really based out of the necessity of preservation. So continually keeping the building in good repair, making improvements. The owner even says that she wants to rebuild one of the old barns and turn that into an inn where guests can stay, and then to take the old carriage house from when the poorhouse was first established and turn that into a restaurant. So that all sounds like a pretty cool long-term experience to me, and I really hope that she is able to achieve that. Anyway, friends, thanks so much for hanging out with me today. I apologize for all the clipping and just the production value of me being nervous on camera. It's only going to get better the more comfortable and practiced I get from here. So I do hope you stick around. That would be awesome. If you like the video, please like it. If you want to subscribe, please do that. If you feel so inclined, please share with your friends and family, although I'm probably mortified right now. Watching this back. Also, if you like this pattern, I've linked it below by SphynxCrochet. Very wonderful pattern creator. But I already know, like, this is going to be a hot commodity at my Halloween markets coming up in the next 2 weeks here. I honestly don't even know if I want to sell this one because it's so cute. Come on. Also, guys, please comment below if you have been to Rolling Hills Asylum and you have stories that you want to share about it. I would love to see them. After everything that I've read, I'd love to see some different stuff about it as well. Comment any suggestions that you have below for future topics that are true crime or paranormal that you're interested in, because I would love to cover stuff that y'all are interested in as well. And then don't forget, down in the description box, I do have a link for listener stories for you guys to submit, because I would really love to do a spooky little Halloween episode with your listener stories. Anyway, guys, thank you so much. Thank you so much for tuning to this first episode of True Crime Chillers and Crochet. I really am so excited to be unraveling the darkness and the mystery of the world with you guys. Really, I hope to see y'all next time. Cheers!